one.
Oh.
I'm gonna go through this pretty quick. So if you start at chapter 1, can you scroll to chapter 1?
Yeah, I see. I had it, but yeah.
So like when right there. Okay, so like Wendy was saying, is there a way to pull that up? Just a little bit? There you go.
There we go. That's perfect.
Perfect. Like Wendy was talking earlier, we do have the standard coverage policy, 100% of the basic insurance rate. Extended is 150%. That's also calculated through your quality systems. So you're gonna have to calculate rates like in the early 2000s when we all had to get our calculators out. The homeowners policy, there's a reason why it's 110% is because there's a little more coverage involved in that. And so we offer that. But the other thing, and you commercial folks out there in TV land and in front of me, we realized in 2023 when I filed this rate that we weren't involved in the commercial world very much. We didn't, let's face it, all the big four underwriters, your First American, mainly Fidelity, own the commercial world. Old Republic has a little bit of foot in it too. But they own that market. And so as an independent agent minded underwriter, what I wanted to do was provide our independent agents an opportunity to use us and actually enter that arena with some good rates to compete with those big direct operations. And so this was part of it. 114, which is your standard commercial rate, 115% of the basic insurance rate, and the extended coverage commercial rate at 115 of the extended coverage rate. Those should be calculated in your quality systems as well. Okay. If they're not, we need to contact Qualia and make sure they're in there. But Qualia has a copy of this. They know what, every time I do a filing, every software title production software gets a copy of this so that they can utilize it and get it hooked up into their systems. The next section, well, we do offer owners with concurrent loan policy, and so that's going to take us down to chapter 2, Sarah. That we're going to go down to chapter 2. Oh, we'll back up just a second. Back up. Go to the up a little bit more. This one right here, 1.6. How many of you remember the old hold open rate? Remember we used to call it hold open. Well, after talking with the Department of Insurance, which I had the joy of doing, they didn't like the term hold open. They didn't think that was right. So we kept the rate, but we changed the name just to show you know. And the way you deal with that is several different ways. You've got your standard coverage policy at 125%. So at the first sale, you're going to charge, say the transaction is for a $300,000 piece of property. On a standard coverage, you're going to charge 125% of the basic rate up front. On the second sale, you're going to charge, let's say the new sale price is $425,000. You're going to take the difference. So you're going to back out $125,000. The first 300 is covered. The second, the increase in liability is going to be charged at the basic rate of the applicable policy. And if it's a standard coverage policy, that is what it will be. If, let's say the original first policy, they got standard coverage, but on the second sale, they want extended, you're going to charge that $125,000 liability on the extended rate in the manual, in the book, in the rate chart. Does that make sense? So that's how that works. Any questions on that? Okay, let's scroll down to chapter 2.
Oh.
And then that was supposed to be.
No, I'm sorry, it was earnest money. I responded to
We
my.
have our standard, extended, and expanded. That's what Wendy was talking about earlier, the expanded coverage policy.
Received earnest
That
money.
is not, was somebody asking me a question?
This one, it's supposed to be Isabel, not Isabella.
They're just talking on their own phone.
I'm gonna get them muted.
Okay. The expanded coverage policy is not used in Arizona. How many of you have ever written one? 0, right? It's not a common practice to do that. What's common in Arizona is the extended period. Now, the next section is the loan policy with a concurrent full value owner's policy. So everybody's familiar, everybody in escrow is familiar with First American's charge for concurrent rate, right? What is it? You don't know? 65% of the basic rate. When I was filing the rates, our old rate was 50%. And so everybody was asking me if I could copy First Americans and put it in there. Well, I did, okay, but I messed up. And I didn't change it from extended coverage rate to basic rate. So it is actually 65% of the extended coverage rate, which means what? Which means what? You make more money.
That's great.
And you make more money. And that's what we all want to do. We all want, did everybody hear that out in TV land? You can make more money with which rate? The concurrent on FNTI. So we'll need to pay attention to that because that's a really good one. Another reason why you should do that. Okay, let's keep scrolling down. Let's go to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the old investor rate. And again, the Department of Insurance chimed in and said, guess what? We don't like the term investor rate. And why should you give your investors more of a discount when you have the same risk? Your risk is on the liability, and it doesn't matter if it's an investor or Joe Schmo off the street. It's the same risk. Why are you giving them a discount? And I kind of argued with them, and I said, well, how about this? I'm just going to take the word investor out of the rate and leave it there because it's very commonly used. I mean, you have investors, you have builders, you have people that are used to that rate. They're going to get it. And it's the way I wrote it. Is it's pretty great. This rate is available to licensed real estate salesmen, brokers, licensed mortgage brokers, or other individuals or groups of individuals or entities customarily engaged in real estate. Who is that? It's an investor. So that's what we do. We used to have 4 different categories there. There was a 4.1A, 4.1B, 4.1C, 4.1D, and they were all based on how many units that investor sent you over the course of a year. Nobody kept up with it. Nobody really cared. It was a pain in your butt. So what did you do? You just gave them the top discount. So we cut all those other 3 out and we left it at 70%. So that is your investor rate, or your what we call producer rate now, is 70% of the applicable rate. So they get a 30% discount. However, we created, with Christie's help and some other agents' help, we created a brand new producer builder subdivision rate, which is the new home subdividers and builders rate. This, for you salespeople, is going to help you in the Northwest Valley because there's a lot of brand new construction going on up there. If you have a builder or you have somebody that's starting to build brand new homes, look at this. A policy issued under this section shall be a homeowner's policy. And the charge is 30% of the applicable rate. That's how much of a discount? 70%, guys. And you can go, and this talk about fishing. If you want to go fishing in the title business, you throw that line out there to some of your builders that are building new homes. You're gonna fish on, man. You better get that reel is gonna be hot. So use that. In Pima County, y'all aren't really doing much in Pima, are you? Y'all aren't doing, no. Okay, so in Pima County, they give a 90% discount. That's crazy. Nobody makes any money on that. So I would tell you not to use that. And one of the things about our rate manual, it's a little bit different than other Texas manuals and promulgated rates is in Texas. If you read the Texas manual and you have to read that and go, if it doesn't say you can do it, and you can't. Ours reads a little bit differently. If it doesn't say you can't do it, you can do it. So there's that gray kind of in there. And we like it that way. Let's go down
Can I ask
to.
you a question about the builder stuff.
Sure.
So I have a builder that's down in Pima and they built multiple subdivisions. And now they're at the point of just doing 1 and 2s every now and then on open lots.
Mhm.
That's still a builder.
Yep. If it's a brand new home.
Awesome.
If it's a brand new home. Now, your Pima, I mean, if you're not, yeah, I'd stick to that.
Sure. I like making money.
Yeah, nobody likes not making money.
Yeah.
Let's scroll down to, how many of you, we may need to go back up to chapter 2, hang on a second. How many of you remember the bundled resale endorsement rate? Okay, we created that in, so chapter 2, it's, the number on the side is gonna be 2.12, and then we're gonna follow that up with 2.13. It was a rate created because we had some escrow offers from some agents that said, you know what, because I asked the question, what keeps you up at night? Why, what can we do for you? What rate can we create for you? One lady piped up and she said, you know what I hate? I hate when a lender calls me at 11 o'clock in the morning and I've got a 1 o'clock closing with these people. And they tell me at 11 o'clock that they need an 8.1 or a 14.2 or whatever, because that causes a problem. It's gonna throw off the CD. It's gonna tick you off as an escrow officer. It's gonna tick your client off, especially when you tell them, oh, the CD just got messed up because your lender didn't know what endorsements they needed. So we've got to delay the closing for the 3 days, redisclose, or what else can you do? You can eat the endorsement yourself so that the closing stays on track. So that's what she said. And so we came up with this rate to allow in 2.12, you to sell 5 endorsements and quote 5 endorsements with this rate, 5 endorsements for a cost of $175, a little bit of a haircut, but it's also saving you time and angst. You can issue any one of these endorsements, only 5 of them, for $175. When you quote that on your CD, you will not have that problem that lovely lady did at the other agents. And you will stop eating endorsements, which saves the company and you pain, because the company doesn't like eating endorsements and you don't like redisclosure. Number 213. So a couple of years later, after creating this, when I created the commercial stuff, the commercial rates, I said, you know what, we need to employ this like First American does, only we're going to offer all endorsements as an option for $750, except for your endorsements that are calculated at a percentage of the premium that you're charging. So your zone endorsements where you make a ton of money on some of those, on commercial especially, I've seen $5,000-$10,000 charges for a zoning endorsement, nuts. So you can't use those. You also have endorsements which are charged as a percentage of the basic rate. So those, the ones like if you're doing a zoning endorsement on a commercial transaction, you can discount that as well. If the transaction is between $5 and $10 million, you can charge 65% of the calculation of that percentage of the premium. Make sense? Okay, good. If it's 10 million to 50 million, if it's 50 million and above, thank God, I hope we get some of those. I really hope we get some of those. It's 55%. Okay. We were at 4, we're 5. Let's go to chapter 6 real quick. Chapter 6, I believe it's 5 I'm going to be pointing to. Yes, multiple loan policies. How many of you have trouble calculating multiple loan policies? When you do 2 loan policies? No, you don't have any problem with that? Oh, good. Well, this gives you an opportunity to issue multiple loan policies. Pop that up just a little bit. Thank you. Whenever there are 2 loan policies issued simultaneously out of the same ownership within the same tract, grant, subdivision, governmental section, blah, 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 the applicable title insurance based on the aggregate ability is charged plus $100 for each additional policy. So you're going to take the 2 loans together, add them together. You're going to charge on the first one, what did I say, when you charge on the first one, the percentage of the loan that you are doing on the first, and then the second one will be listed there plus $100 on the second. Does that make sense? Sort of. I'm glad you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Does it make sense to me? I just want to call that out And then we've got commercial projects down here, which is a different thing. We'll pop that up just a little bit, because this is big time. A lot of companies that are doing commercial end up with a commercial project. So this will help you too in some of those commercial project rates. The rate set forth in this section does not apply for fixed rate endorsements, but may apply and cannot be used in conjunction with any other discount. So if you've got a commercial project from 5 to 10 million, 65% of the rate, applicable rate. And then you've got 10 to 50 and then 50, just like the other bundled endorsement rate. But these are for commercial projects. So when you're dealing with a commercial project and it's a 50 million and it calculates the rate, and it's a project, you can do 65% or 60 or 55% of that applicable rate for the owners of the loan. So that's what gives you the ability to knock down some of those prices and meet the quotes that Fidelity and First American are providing. We had one about 2 years ago that was with another agency. It was a $98 million transaction. Somehow, someone a part of the transaction went to Fidelity and asked them to quote the rate that they would charge so to try and get the deal. And they quoted them $56,000 on a $98 million deal. And those of you who are in escrow know that's nuts. So I went through my manual and I quoted it for them, and it was $113,000. And then I was like, well, that can't be right. Well, it was right. But I went to the Fidelity manual and I looked up and tried to price it out the way they should have. And theirs was $73,000. And I was like, well, why are they quoting $56,000 when the manual says it should, they were just pulling it out of their rear end to get the deal. And they do that. And so what we ended up having to do is we ended up having to match it. So Chris Phillips, our CEO, and I, and some other folks got around and talked about it on the table, and we decided that we were going to do the same thing. If they're going to do it, then we're going to do it. So we matched their $56,000. We got the deal in our agent's office. None of us made any money, but we had fun making sure that we kept the deal in our agent's house and not someone else's. So those, and then there's another commercial endorsement kind of thing there. Let's go to chapter 9 now. How many of you use the short-term rate? Do you do short-term rates? Do you give people short-term rates? Do you do that? You might think about it.
You'll have to explain to someone who doesn't get it.
Okay, so the short-term rate is, let's say you've got a customer that has bought a piece of property and then they sell it within 2 years or within 5 years. You can offer them this rate. Prior policies issued within 2 years of the insurance of the current policy, you give them 65% of the applicable insurance rate. Prior policies issued after 2 years, but before the expiration of 5 years issuance, it's 80%. So if you have a short-term loan or a short-term property that's changing hands, you can issue that. What about refinances? Y'all doing any refinances yet?
Yeah.
Sarah, will you go back to chapter 2?
Yes.
2.5, I believe. We have 3 amazing rates for refi. So when they come back, you salespeople need to be harping on your banks about using you for with FNTI or using you with the rates that we have. Now go down, go up a little bit more. It's 2.6. It's all the refund. No, that down this way. So there you go. So, and then we'll scroll a little bit more. So we have a standard one that's 50% of the basic rate. Then you go down to a bundle that includes all of these endorsements, your regular 8.1s, your 6.2s, your 22s we've added. And these are your price points. Starts at $550. I'm a very simple thinker, so I stuck with the 550, 650, 750, 850, 950. I don't go into detail. First American will go in and analyze risk and make it a certain charge, and it'll be 559 or something like that, but no, it's mine is pretty simple so that you remember it in your head. Our third refinance rate is another fishing lure that you can throw out there. It is, go to for a little bit further, qualified bundled. So it is a bundle, but these 4 qualifications have to be met in order to offer this 355. Old Republic is at 358. I specifically went to 355 to get our agents business to write on us. And it starts at 355 from 0 to 215. You can see the progression, but these 4 have to be met in order to offer that rate. It has to be an existing insured deed of trust. The new and current insured deed of trust must insure the same property. The trustor and the new and current deed of trust must be the same, and it must be an institutional lender. If they qualify for that, they can offer this price because why? The transaction is so much less risky. It's so much less, there's so much less risk involved in those transactions if those 4 things are met. If they can't qualify for that, bump them up to the other one. If they don't like that, bump them up to the 50. This is written to where you can choose what rate you give your customer. Sometimes I have some agents that will offer the higher price, and if the agent or if the parties start to balk at your prices, then you bump them down to the next option, the next best option. So start high. It's just like, it's like buying a car, you know. Aim high, aim high. The last part is the chapter 10, which is what Wendy was talking about at the very end of our manual, the very last page with the endorsements. This will help you see what endorsements we have, what their charges are, what they're used on, whether they're used on the owner's policy, or if they're used on a loan policy, or if they're used on both, and what their charges are. Just so you know. Some of these, all these should be built into your quality of system, but at least you have something in paper that you can see and know that it's there. Any questions about rates? What I want to tell you before we close, and I know we're doing good. We'll get you out of here early. Again, thank you. Thank you for riding on First National Title. I know that at times it feels like that you're asked to because you have to. You don't get to choose your underwriter because you work for Shattuck and it's a Shattuck company, so you've got to ride on First National. But I'm here to tell you thank you. You guys make us better. And that's to you, every one of you on TV land too. You make us better. We couldn't go out and sell and create new markets for us like I'm trying to sell in Nevada now to bring on independent agents in Nevada along with your sister company in Nevada, Greg and those guys. I'm going out there next week. But we couldn't expand our market and our footprint without your help. And we really appreciate that. And I just want you to know that from our corporate office directly to you, we appreciate what you do for us because we couldn't do what we do without you. Last session, there was a question about the Shattuck versus FNTI and Capital and Landmark versus FNTI and the importance of having both. There's some underwriters out there that don't have affiliates or they don't have direct operations. First of all, we don't call ours direct, we call them affiliates. And the reason why they're not directs is because the name on the door is not First National Title, it's Landmark Title, or it's US Title, or it's Continental Title in Kansas City, or it's Landmark in Nevada. That's why they're not called directs, because they're different separate entities other than the underwriter. But the silo of business really helps in how we all come together as one company and we grow together, and we're a much more solid company by having two silos, having affiliates and the underwriter, because if one's not doing very well, the other one can take care of the other one. And that all helps us have longevity and have, job security, so to speak. I got into it with Bill Shattuck one day in a meeting that we were in and talking about independent agent business and all that, and something that he had done to, cause me to lose business in my independent agent, world. And he said, but DJ, let me tell you something. That affiliate company is what's helps me pay your salary. And I was like, okay, then, you win. So we all work together, the one company, the FNTI, all the affiliates, the tax company that we have in Texas, survey company we have in Texas, we have and the mortgage company that we have in Texas. All of it works together as one company, which creates Shattuck National Holdings. So, but from our office to you, thank you for being a part of us. Thank you for being a part of Landmark. And if there's ever anything that you need from us, please do not hesitate to call us.
DJ, we have a couple questions. One is, will we get a link with these? I'm presuming maybe the manual. So it's in best practices.
It is in best practices. I emailed the actual manual to Christy earlier today. And I emailed it to Sarah. So if you want that email to you directly, just send a message to either one of them and they will email it directly to you if you want to have a copy. One of the things that I was asked in the earlier session was, DJ, can you create us a little cheat sheet with some of the high points of some of the things that you talked about, the things that we need to remember. And I can most certainly do that. I've already looked at some templates of what I can put it on FNTI letterhead or something and just kind of cut and paste from the manual and put it in there and get it out to Christy so that she can get it out. That could be helpful. But really and truly, the more you use it, the more you're going to remember it. The more you hunt for a rate, and especially when it comes down to rates and when you're looking for a rate, I wrote this. So if you have a question about a rate and can you do something for a client, give me a call. Call me or email me, text me, say, DJ, I got a question. I do travel a lot, so it may take a minute for me to get to where I can email you back, or call me. Just give me a shout. We'll talk it through. Sometimes I can pull a rabbit out of the hat. Sometimes I can't. But I can definitely help you when you're trying to remember certain rates.
And then we have another question about the difference between a construction loan rate and a refinance rate.
Difference between a construction loan rate and a refinance rate. Wow, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I'm trying to understand the question a little bit.
As in what, pertaining to money or pertaining to the content, or what is the?
Josh, could you give us a little bit more context?
Often the refinance rate is being used in conjunction with a construction loan. No, we can't do a rate upon a rate. So if you're doing a construction loan, Josh, are you seeing that construction loans are intertwined as a refinance?
I think probably what's happening is we'll get something in from a lender for a loan, and in escrow we'll assume, oh, this is a refinance. And then it turns out it's not a refinance, it's actually a construction loan. That's probably is that what you're talking about, Josh?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Matt. Correct. Thank you, Matt. So how would we charge for that? I mean, you're gonna either use the construction loan rate or the refinance rate. You're not gonna incorporate a refinance rate on a construction loan. That's not gonna do that. Does that help, Josh?
Yep.
Yes.
Yay.
Good. Roger, Josh. But anyway, again, thank you guys for having us. I know you've got to get back to your offices and your desks. You've got other stuff to do because I know you'd love to sit here and talk to us for 31 minutes.
I have a question.
questions?
GJ and Wendy, could you guys just do a quick recap of the two topics that you all talked about in the beginning? The logins, and so I can capture it for the recording.
Sure, the logins for FirstNet, pay attention to the emails. Pay attention to the email that specifically comes out that gives you directions on how to get your new username and password. And then Wendy will give you the backdrop on the FinCEN and the other.
Okay, so we talked about FinCEN, which is just the federal government's new way to help deter money laundering. And the rule is residential property that is bought for cash by an entity or a non-personal trust. Those are reportable transactions. And the reporters are going to be the closing agents, and your company will set up their process for that.
So that's effective the
It is
21st of December?
Effective the 1st of December of 2025.
Is it an entity or a non-person trust? So it's not if it's an individual, it's just if it's
Yes,
an
correct.
LLC. or-
Individuals do not count, correct. It has to be an entity or a non-personal trust, meaning no estate planning trust kind of thing. Those are not reportable if they're cash. And there is, exemptions, things like an easement, transfer resulting from the death, a divorce, a dissolution, bankruptcy, any entity or any conveyance supervised by a court. And transfer on death deeds are not going to be counted, and 1031 exchanges are not going to be counted.
So is that gonna be a reporting like quality or would be like for the 1099?
So interestingly enough, the government's going to issue a username and password for you, and they have their own portal, which this will be reported. And you have to have, there is a reporting time frame. It's 30 days after the transaction or at the end of the month of which the transaction occurred. So it can't be more than so many
So we
days.
would have to log into that portal to do that.
Well, and I think that's going to be a question for your management team, meaning, yes, that's what has to happen, but I don't know who is going to be responsible for that. I don't know that closers are necessarily going to be responsible for your company. Your company's going to work out the details for that. But reporters, meaning you guys, are going to fill out the help paperwork, the form that is not yet out, to include all the information for the transaction that has to be reported to the federal government. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, perfect. And and I think it's just, there's a lot of information, and because as closers or settlement agents, you all have the ability to have that all in one spot, and that's why the government's kind of pushing the title industry to help them out with this program. So okay, and then we talked about the offerings of owners policies, and I mentioned this great little form that you all already have, which I know is based on First American's breakdown of what covered risks are removed if you upgrade your policy, basically, right? So we offer standard coverage and homeowners. Now we do offer the extended, which is the middle. But we use our standard owner's policy form jacket, and we just remove the additional 7 through 10 covered risks on your little piece of paper. I'm just going down this to make it easy for you all. So who can get this coverage? Standard, everybody, of course. Extended, entities or individuals can all get that coverage. The only stipulation, the requirement on that one, have to have an ALTA survey. No report will do. Okay. And then the homeowners, that is for residential property. That's the requirement. And it is for individuals or entities. And how you do that is you have to file a Form 200, or you have to do an endorsement Form 200 from FNTI and add it to the policy to remove, and this is again for entities, to remove the natural person. Deletion of the natural person is what it's called. If you forget, it's in your manual. All this good stuff's in the manual. And then the one exception on homeowners policies, we're still on owners policy, by the way. Tribal entities. We cannot provide the homeowners coverage for a tribal entity. They can get the extended. All right, then loan policy. We offer 3 different policies, and DJ kind of touched on the numbers side of it. We offer the standard, obviously, and then we do the extended. for the loan policy, and then we do have enhanced, and I was told today by our president, that's a homeowner's, not to be confused with the homeowner's policy. In the east, they call it enhanced, and in the west, they call it homeowner's policy. I don't know why, but that's just the name. It's the same thing on the owner side, but we do have an enhanced lender policy, and DJ just said, we don't see people writing that, so. That's what they talk about.
Owen has a question.
Extended coverage policy issued without an officer survey, but with a standard survey exception on the policy. Yes, that's a yes. I don't know. Oh, and let me check that out, because you know what? We can't delete, so you're gonna keep the standard survey exception, but issue the extended without the Alta survey, right? That's what I'm understanding you to say? Yes. So I say if you keep the standard survey exception on there, yes, you can do the extended. For the other items, you just can't remove that survey exception. Because he didn't want the other coverages, they just don't care about the survey. That's what you're saying. Great.
Great.
Thumbs up. That's a great question. Thank you. And so that's the kind of stuff that I don't. Those are the kind of questions that I think are not black and white, if I can say that. They're gray areas. Those are the questions you can ask me. Those are the things you should be asking, or asking your title department, or asking somebody. Those are the things, yeah, let's try to make this work out, because the reason I say yes to this is because we don't have an extended policy, standard policy. We use the owner's policy that's standard,
Yeah.
and then we take off the covered risks. So that's why we could do what he just asked, because we can keep that one risk on. Okay. Questions? No? Great question, Alan. Underwriting. If you have questions, and please feel free to contact me. I think I went over that when I was talking earlier. I don't know if I was on tape or not. If you have questions, I'm in a different time zone. Kind of already went over that. I'm in Kansas City, on the Kansas side, and I keep my phone with me until you all close, till it's 5 o'clock or 5-ish, 30-ish here, right? So text me, feel free. You're not going to bother me, or call me. And if I don't answer the phone, I'm either on the phone or just stepped away. Leave me a message or text me and I will call you right back, especially if you're in a closing. That if it's important, you need to get a hold of me, please do it. I have no problem with that. I'd rather talk through a situation and have you be right than, kind of try to just wing it. I want you to have the support that we can give you. What else?
Good.
I'm trying. Any
Yeah.
other questions up there in TV land? Okay, great.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we appreciate your time with us today.
On your website, do you guys have any, just some really good content for us as reps, marketing reps
There's a good question.
Sure. Do you have access to our marketing portal?
I do not.
Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. I know April's out right now. Call me later, I mean, early next week.
Okay.
And I think April Roberts can get you signed up for, if you want to send me an email and copy and April Roberts, april.roberts@fnti.com. And about getting hooked up on the marketing portals, there is content for you to pull off and utilize on social media. There are brochures
Okay.
that you can go on and get. So,
I'm just thinking ahead from some of our agents like to do buyer seminars and stuff like that, so I think you guys have some good stuff there, but it's really cool.
And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but we're working on that form that you have from that Landmark class. We're gonna work on, we have one, I've seen it again, since we're not, you all are in Alta State. That was what it was for in Georgia. We had one for Georgia. So I'm going to get one for you all too. So you'll have that information with our logo and kind of a brief overview of what each policy is.
I would love that, because then you could even do a class on, I could do a class on that.
Perfect,
Mhm.
perfect,
Okay.
perfect, excellent. Any questions?
Can you give me your phone number one more time?
me,
Yeah.
972-261-6764, and my email is dj.horn, HORN, @fnti.com.
Perfect, thank you.
Mine is really not holding. HOELTING. I know, HOE. Don't forget the E.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And you know, now that we're off, I can tell you.